I'm not freaking out. You're freaking out. Hello. It is the week of March 16th. I'm recording this on the 19th, Thursday. And yeah, it's gonna. I think this is including more than the 16th actually. Probably the weekend too. I've just been working every day. So I just sprayed fixative on those and replaced them. One thing I wanted to do this week was to work on that poster, that little drawing I hung up on the wall there. Oh, yes, deleting old notes. My poor plants. Yeah, so that's where I want to put the poster. This was something fun I worked on. I'm working on figuring out how to display old work digitally. Yeah. Inspired by video games. Overthinking. I've begun my studio sessions by doing a little spinny turn there and putting on my uniform, which is my smock and my hat. Tired. But we stay positive. Yeah, so I was laying in bed last night thinking about what I wanted to do for a voiceover for this week, and I just, like, by the time I wrapped up yesterday, I was just overwhelmed by the sense of, or the feeling that I didn't do enough this past week. But I need to remember, like, there used to not be any green on these paintings, and like on the other painting I'm painting grass, and on this painting I'm struggling with just painting trees. But like this portion I'm doing right here was like the only part of the trees that I truly like. And I think it just looked so much like it looks nice. I like how that like section of trees looks, and I can't say the same for the other sections. But my goal was to just get all of the yellow underpainting covered. And I got most of the way. We're so close. This painting, you know, it's like the sense of like I just want to take a nap. But it's also earth. Uh, like it's just gonna be grass going over like this figure that's laying on the ground that is, you know, kind of looks like a not a tombstone, what's it called? Like how on the top of a coffin there'll sometimes be a sculpture of the body that's been laid to rest. That's kind of what I'm thinking about here, and I'm gonna paint it to look like grass, like as close to suburban grass as I can paint right now. And this week I struggled, but I showed up every day that I could. And so you can see here, this is just, like showing up for one day. This is what was the result. I think one of the things I'm struggling with is that I don't know how to oil paint. And I think that's very funny. I'm learning. These paintings are my learning paintings. Well, there's gonna be a lot of learning paintings actually. But yeah, I'm still trying to be as professional as I can, and I really like to work in a lot of layers. Uh, and with oil painting, you have to wait for things to dry. Oh, this is someone I really like on Instagram, and some things that just made me happy. I also love Deep in Corn. Um, yeah, I'm learning the hard way to slow down. Also using GalKit to help speed up the drawing process. But still, I like to work in like very thin layers and just do a lot of layers. Also, this entire video, watching it back, like the music that I listen to, I think is crazy. Like, a lot of it. Oh, yeah, it snowed again, by the way. The beginning of this week, it was like a little bit warm, and then we went back to cold.
Let's fix this shit.
I hadn't spoken a word yet that day.
Let's get this bag.
LMAO.
This feels very good to
Yeah.
even though it's very small. It's nice doing it, and I'm in a very comfortable position that I can just work and like try things out. Yeah, I think like working in different fields, some are not into the art world or doing different. Yeah. And too much at home, find their way to my classic radio or something like very. It's just like really, it's. Hi, I'm Bjorn Heim from.
I just realized, and this is my fourth time doing it, as much as I really fictional characters that exist in France, they are in different voices so that they work really, really well together.
House, and it wasn't him, it was me working on these projects with him. And I had like free range in the garage, and I put a lot of holes in our tires because I was leaving like nails and screws out. And I thought it was the most wonderful thing. So that's sort of the way in which I sort of kept making work, and I still think that way now. Like when I'm in here or making work, I often think about performing the roles of different trades. So I try not to think too much as like someone who has the luxury of being in a studio. I try to have the same dedication as someone like showing up to a 9 to 5. Yeah. When I moved to England, I'd finished high school in South Africa, and I didn't really know you could go to uni for art. And my family didn't go to uni. Like my dad did a master's at like 47, but I graduated by then, which is brilliant. But it was just sort of, and I'm the eldest as well, so I didn't really know you could go to art.
I've been listening to a lot of the podcast or interview series called Timestamp. They interview emerging / younger artists, and I just find it relatable, and I just like, my goal is to be a professional artist, and I need to remember that it's okay to be a beginner right now because it's been a while. I spent my time at school studying architecture, and for my electives I took painting classes when I could, or painting studios, and then I worked post-graduating for 3 to 4 years in architecture, and Princess Mononoke. So just coming back to painting this past year, I need to remember to give myself grace. But then I'm also doing stuff like this, where I'm like, let me paint every individual blade of grass in multiple layers, and let me use a laser level to do it, which is so architecture, and it's so funny to me, but I love it. Yeah, like I was saying, there's like a culture in architecture where, you know, stuff was due yesterday and you're still doing it. And like, I'm working on acknowledging that I actually did do a lot this past week and that I'm not behind perpetually, even though these paintings aren't done yet. So, yeah. I think we've caught up to yesterday at the point in which I am recording this.
Let's go.
Yeah. I listened to this video all day. I think it's called Tiny Puppet Radio or something like that. It's a new channel, but it's just like a puppet DJ, which is like so funny, and it's in this like red room with a red table. It must be like a graphic design studio hosting this. I love it. It reminds me of, I think it's, don't hate me if I'm wrong, Monet's painting of, no, Mondrian, no, I forget, but one of them. The painting, the red room painting that's in MoMA. Anyway, yeah. So, here, I learned my lesson. I thought it was dry, it wasn't dry. I was trying to add a layer on top of the trees.
I have been caught red-handed.
And I was lifting up the green paint, which was revealing the underpainting. I was very not happy. So I had to wait.
Allora. So we move on.
There you can see like 2 yellow marks that started to come up. I swear, like, I've been trying to center joy in the art making practice, and like last week's video, I made that drawing, and that video reminded me of just like freaking like absurd. Like, come on, it's so absurd, it's great. So I pivoted yesterday and I started to focus on making the poster of like my dream house, or like my end goal for what I want my career to look and be like, and for my home to be like. Oh, my poor plants. We're gonna not talk about them. It's just some random tulip bulbs that I got, and yeah, so, well. That's a very old gouache painting I did one day while studying. I think I was a junior. Yeah. Putting away my oil palette and my little underpass on top of my flat file. It's great for keeping it when I'm not using it, and to be able to use the rest of my table. But yeah, I made that painting when I was a junior, when I was studying architecture, and I was like, I haven't painted in so long, I just had to make something. And I love like a red orange, and so I played with that color, and I made like a little arch stoop was that painting. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm getting ready to make like the 24 by 36 version of the poster, and that brown frame, I'm painting it white. But I also ran out of my white spray paint, and I didn't want to go to the store because this was all like happening yesterday afternoon. Also, I squeezed out way too much acrylic paint and some of the colors are really expensive. So like I did this first pass and then I did a bunch more. And I just like felt like I was spiraling because I just kept making and writing these words. So these words, they're related to my practice or what I want my practice to be and everything that I think about. So like living systems is a phrase I thought of during school because in architecture, it's like Le Corbusier, like the machine for living, has been like the past, what, almost century, past at least 70 years of architectural design and thinking. And we need to switch towards living systems, not machine for living. Like, you know. So, anyway, that's where like urban ecology, biodiversity, regenerative design come in hand. And yeah, just breaking down false dichotomies or binaries and focusing on landscape or paysage, les paysagistes. So, yeah, here I'm doing it a second one because I was not happy with the first one. And I'm painting on top of this like cheap roll of paper that I have that's obviously like buckling underneath it's so thin. And I was not having fun, even though I'm trying to have fun with these bright, fun colors because of that tiny puppet DJ that inspired me, or re-inspired me about this project. Because I've been thinking about it like this, like just bright poster with a black illustration on top of it, and like you can kind of make out the words behind, but you don't have to, but they're there. It's like two different layers on the poster, so two different things to look at for whichever one you're focusing on. And I just have like this image of like maybe like a 2000s style or time era, like just bright graphic design, bubble letter, colorful poster. And I'm trying to bring that fuzzy image in my head out into reality and struggling. But when you're struggling and you make something and you don't really like it, you just keep trying. So that's what I did. I just kept making it over and over, which helped me figure out like placement of words, what colors I actually wanted to include. You can see there like emergence I split in two, and it's kind of red and feels like emergency, but it's also like emergence of ideas over time, community, collaboration. So yeah, I downsized, and yeah, I think these smaller ones started to come out immediately a lot better, also because the paper was thicker and I was playing with like the texture of the brush. Here's when I wanted to give up. But I had too much paint on my palette to stop, so I decided I was just gonna take like these postcard size pieces of paper that I had and like just load them up with paint, try and use up my paint. And I think it was actually really important because I was playing and then I went back to writing my words, and previously I was about to literally just give up because I was so tired at this point. I think having clean margins on the side and letting the words kind of float over, almost like it's a pattern that's continuing. So there's like these clean edges, like makes it feel so much more almost professional. versus like the other ones kind of feel like, I don't know, I'm doing like extra credit at college and working with middle school children, and we're all painting words on a clipboard about what we care about. So yeah. And I was laying in bed thinking last night, like, maybe I do need to just paint this as like an oil painting. And because I have a bunch of like, I call them Wordingtons after like the song Rappy Wordington, of just like these phrases, or because I also want to play with annotation from architectural drawings and like annotating paintings. That way it's like a painting set, like how we have drawing sets. But that requires learning how to paint text, and obviously I'm struggling. But I think bringing it over to oil painting and using it as an exercise to continue learning oil painting and to slow down and have more control over the words, given this frame, the landlord treatment, might help, and also transition back into my practice of annotation, Wordington style paintings. But yeah, if you like this video, like and subscribe, follow along. I will see you next week, hopefully with some finished pieces of work. Yeah. Bye.